أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Surah 64.
At-Tagabun.
Title. The expression
At-Tagabun
is used in the verse 9 of this surah, from whence comes its title. Period of revelation. According to Muqatil and Kalbi, it is partly Meccan and partly Medinan. Abdullah ibn Abbas and Ata ibn Yasar clarify that its verses 1 to 13 are Meccan and 14 to 18 are Medinan. However, most of the Quran commentators regard the whole surah as Medinan. Its contents do not provide a clue about the period of its revelation. On studying it closely, one feels that it may have been sent down in the early Medinan phase, which would explain why it seems both Meccan and Medinan. Subject matter and themes. It instructs on the professing of faith, on obedience, and on excellent morals and manners. Verses 1 to 4 address all of humanity. Verses 5 to 10 are directed at those who refuse to believe in the Quran, while verses 11 to 18 address those who believe in it. While addressing all human beings, the Quran apprises them of 4 truths. 1. This universe inhabited by them is not without its Lord. Its creator, master, and ruler is Almighty Allah, whose perfection is testified to by all that is in this universe. 2. This universe is not without a purpose. Its creator has brought it into being in truth. People should not have the delusion that this worldly life is some vain sport without any meaningful end. 3. God has created them in the best of molds and giving them the choice between faith and unbelief. Their opting for either is, once again, not a trivial matter. God watches to see how they exercise this freedom to choose. 4. They are not beyond reckoning. Eventually, they have to return to their Creator and appear before Him who knows all that is in the universe. Nothing about them is hidden from Him. He knows even the secrets of their hearts. After explaining these 4 truths about the universe and man, the surah addresses those opting for unbelief, drawing their attention to the rise and fall of communities throughout history. Although man may offer all sorts of justifications for the rise and fall of communities, God, however, unravels the truth. There have always been only 2 basic causes of the fall of communities. 1. They had refused to listen to the messengers sent down for their guidance. As a result, God left them on their own. They fabricated their own fanciful notions and strayed further into error. 2. They had rejected the doctrine of the hereafter and turned to the delusion that the life of this world is everything. They ruled out the next life and also their entire outlook on life. Their conduct was perverted and eventually divine punishment overwhelmed them. The earth was thus purged of them. After stating these 2 important historical lessons, the unbelievers are asked to see reason. If they want to avoid the horrible fate of earlier communities, they should better believe in Allah, His messenger, and the light of guidance sent down by Him in the form of the Quran. They are warned at the same time against the day of judgment, when all the earlier and later communities and individuals will be gathered. Each one of them will stand exposed on the day, and their fate will be decided on the basis of their faith and good actions. It will be ascertained who had opted for the straight way and who went astray with his unbelief and rejection of truth. The former will be entitled to eternal paradise, and the latter will roast forever in hell. Then the believers are given these valuable directives. 1. Every calamity befalling man is by Allah's command. Allah guides the one who remains steadfast in his faith even in adverse circumstances to the truth. In contrast, the one who in adversity abandons his faith out of panic or resentment cannot escape suffering without His command. Man's disobedience incurs the priceless loss of divine guidance. 2. A believer should not only profess faith, but should practically obey Allah and His messenger. If he refuses to obey, he will be responsible for his loss, for the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, has performed his duty of conveying the truth to him. 3. A believer should repose trust only in Allah and not in any worldly power or his own self. 4. For a believer, his belongings and his family are a trial. Love for them can drive one away from the path of faith and obedience. Believers should therefore be careful about their families and should not distract their families from the way of Allah. Moreover, believers should spend their earnings in the cause of Allah. This will protect them from the love of money. 5. Every human being is accountable in proportion to his capacity. Allah does not demand that anyone works beyond his capacity. Nonetheless, a believer should work to the extent that he is able with God consciousness in his speech, character, and dealings. He should not cross the limits set by Allah.
Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim.
In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate.
يسبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير.
All that is in the heavens and all that is in the earth extols Allah's glory. His is the sovereignty, and to Him is all praise due. He has power over everything.
1. For explanation, see Yen 1 of the commentary on Surah Al-Hadid. A study of the following theme by itself shows why the discourse has begun with this sentence. What has been stated below about the universe and man is that Allah alone is their creator, master, ruler, and He has not made this universe without purpose and wisdom, that man has not been created and left irresponsible, so that he may act as he may please, and there should be nobody to call him to account. And that the ruler of this universe is not a carefree and ignorant king so that he may have no knowledge of what is happening in his kingdom. The best introduction to this theme could be the same as has been couched in this brief sentence. In view of the context, the introduction means, in whichever direction you may turn your gaze from the earth to the limitless vastnesses of the heavens, you will clearly see that everything from a particle to the great galaxies not only testifies to the existence of God but also bears evidence that its God is free from every defect, every weakness and error. Had there been the least probability of a defect or fault, weakness or deficiency, in His essence and attributes, in His acts and decrees, this perfect and wise system could not have come into being at all, nor continue to function so consistently and immutably from eternity to eternity. 2. That is, the kingdom of the universe solely belongs to Him. He has not just created it and left it alone after giving it the initial creation, but He alone is actually ruling over it every moment. No one else has any role or share whatsoever in this rule and sovereignty. If others possess temporarily and on a limited scale some powers of ownership or rule somewhere in the universe, these are not their personal powers, which they might have acquired by virtue of their own ability, but these have been granted to them by Allah. They possess these powers as long as Allah wills, and they can be withdrawn as and when He so desires. 3. In other words, He alone is worthy of all praise. Whatever other being has any praiseworthy quality, it has been granted by Allah. And if hamd, praise, be taken in the sense of shukr, thankfulness, the meaning would be, in reality Allah alone is worthy of being thanked, for all good things in the world have been created by Him. And He alone is the real benefactor of all kinds of creation. When we thank another being for favor, we thank it for the reason that Allah conveyed His blessing through it or Him to us, otherwise neither the being itself is the creator of the blessing nor could it convey the blessing to you without Allah's permission and help. For, that is, He is the possessor of absolute power. He can do whatever He wills. There is no power to restrain or limit His omnipotence.
هو الذي خلقكم فمنكم كافر ومنكم مؤمن والله بما تعملون بصير.
He it is who has created you, and among you are those that deny the truth, and among you are those that believe in it. Allah observes all that you do.
5. It has 4 meanings and all are correct in their respective places. First, that He alone is your creator, yet some of you deny His being the creator and others acknowledge this truth. This meaning becomes obvious when the first and the second sentences are read together. Second, that He Himself has created you with the nature that if you choose to adopt unbelief, you may do so, and if you choose to affirm belief, you may do so. He has not compelled you to either accept or reject the faith. Therefore, you yourselves are responsible for your adopting belief or unbelief. This meaning is confirmed by the following sentence: Allah sees whatever you do. That is, by giving you this choice He has put you to the test, and He is watching how you exercise this choice. The third meaning is, He has created you with a sound, wholesome nature, which demands that you should all adopt the way of the faith, yet some of you adopted unbelief, which was opposed to the nature and purpose of their creation, and some of you adopted the way of the faith, which was in conformity with their nature. This theme becomes obvious when this verse is read along with verse 30 of Surah At-Tagabun, which says, "Set your face sincerely and truly towards faith, and be steadfast on the nature whereupon Allah has created mankind." There can be no alteration in the nature made by Allah. This is the right and true faith. And this very theme is explained by several ahadith in which the Prophet, peace be upon him, has repeatedly stated that every man has been created on true human nature. Then polytheism and deviation befall him from outside. For further explanation, see E.Ns 42-47 of the commentary of Surah At-Tagabun. Here, it may be pointed out that no divine book has ever presented the concept of man's being a sinner by birth, which Christianity has embraced as its fundamental doctrine for 1,500 years. Recently, even Catholic scholars themselves have started expressing the view that there is no basis for this doctrine in the Bible. The famous German biblical scholar Reverend Herbert Hogg writes in his book, Is Original Sin in Scripture, among the earliest Christians, at least till the 3rd century AD, there existed no such creed that man was a sinner by birth, and when this idea started spreading among the people, the Christian scholars continued to contradict it for 2 centuries. At last, in the 5th century AD, St. Augustine, by the power of his logic, made this idea a part of the fundamental beliefs of Christianity. Mankind is heir to the original sin committed by Adam, and there is no way to salvation for man except through the atonement made by Christ. The fourth meaning is, only Allah brought you into existence from non-existence. You were not, then you became. This was such a simple thing that if you had thought over it seriously, and seen that life is the real blessing through which you are benefiting by the other blessings in the world, none of you would have adopted the attitude of disbelief and rebellion against your Creator. But some of you did not give it due thought or thought wrongly, and adopted the way of disbelief, and some others adopted the same way of belief and faith which was the very demand of correct thinking. 6. In this sentence, seeing does not merely mean to see, but it automatically gives the meaning that man will be rewarded or punished according to his actions and deeds. It is just like a master's taking a person into service and then telling him, I shall see how you perform your duties, which implies, if you perform your duties well, I shall reward you fully, otherwise I shall call you to account for your negligence.
خلق السماوات والأرض بالحق وصوركم فأحسن صوركم وإليه المصير.
He created the heavens and the earth with truth and shaped you, giving you excellent shapes, and to Him is your ultimate return.
7. In this verse 3 things have been stated in their sequence, which are well connected logically. First, it has been said that Allah has created this universe with the truth. When the word with the truth is spoken for a news, it means the true news. When it is spoken for a command, it means a command based on justice. When it is spoken for a statement, it means a correct statement. And when it is used for an act, it implies an act which is wise, reasonable, and useful. Now, to create, is an act. Therefore, to say that the universe has been created with the truth would inevitably mean that the universe has not been created for fun, but it is a serious work of a wise creator. Everything in it has a rational object and purpose, and the element of its being purposeful is so evident that if a sensible person understands the nature of a thing well, it cannot be difficult for him to know the rational and wise purpose for which it has been created. All of modern science testifies that whenever man has succeeded in understanding the true nature of a thing by careful thought, research and investigation, he has also come to know eventually the purpose and object of its creation, and this understanding of its purpose has led him to countless inventions which are now being used in civilized human life. This could not be possible, had this universe been the plaything of a carefree person, devoid of any wisdom and purpose. For further explanation, see Yen 46 of Surah Al-An'am, Yen 11 of Surah Yunus, Yen 26 of Surah Ibrahim, Yen 46 of Surah An-Nahl, E.Ns 15, 16 of Surah Al-Anbiya, Yen 102 of Surah Al-Mu'minun, Yen 75 of Surah Al-Ankabut, Yen 6 of Surah Ar-Rum, Yen 34 of Surah Ad-Dukhan, Yen 28 of Surah Al-Jathiyah. Secondly, it has been said that in this universe Allah has created man in the best shape. Shape here does not imply only man's face but his whole bodily structure. It also includes all those powers and abilities which man has been granted to function in this world. In both these aspects man has been given the best shape and form among the creatures of the earth, and on the same basis he has become worthy to rule over all the universe. He has been given an erect stature. He has been given most appropriate feet to walk on. He has been given most suitable hands to work with. He has been given such senses and organs to acquire knowledge by which he obtains every kind of information. He has been given a powerful mind to think and understand and deduce results from the body of acquired information. He has been given a moral sense and a power of discrimination by which he distinguishes between good and evil, right and wrong. He has been given the power of decision by using which he selects his own course of action, and decides as to where he should employ his efforts, and where he should not. He has even been given the freedom that he may acknowledge his Creator and serve him if he so likes and reject him if he pleases, or may make whomever he likes his gods, or rebel even against him whom he regards as his God. Along with all these capabilities and powers, Allah has granted him the authority to appropriate everything created by him, and he is practically using this authority in the world. For further explanation, see Yen 91 of Surah Al-Mu'min. The third thing which logically follows from the first two, as explained above, has been stated in the third sentence of the verse. To him you have to return in the end. Obviously, when a creature endowed with power and authority has been created in a wise and purposeful system of the universe, wisdom does not require that he should be left to live irresponsibly in the world, but it necessarily requires that that creature should be accountable to the being who has granted it this position and rank and blessed it with these powers. Returning in this verse does not merely mean to return but to return for accountability. In the following verses it has been explained that this return will not be in this life but into the second life after death, and its right time will be when all mankind will be resurrected and gathered together simultaneously for accountability. And in consequence of the accountability man will be rewarded or punished on the ground whether he had used the powers given him by God in the right way or the wrong way. As for the question, why cannot this accountability be held in the present life of the world, and why is its right time only the second life after death, and why is it necessary that this accountability be held only when all mankind has passed away from this world, and all the former and the latter generations have been resurrected and gathered together simultaneously? If man only uses his common sense a little, he can understand that all this is perfectly rational as well as the very demand of wisdom and reason that accountability should be held in the second lift, and of all mankind together. The first reason is that man is accountable for his whole life work. Therefore, the right time of his accountability should necessarily be when his life work has come to an end. The second reason is that man is responsible for all those effects and influences which he produces by his acts on the lives of others, and those influences and effects do not come to an end with his death but continue to influence others till ages after him. Therefore, true accountability call he held only when the life work of entire mankind has come to an end and all the former and the latter generations are gathered together simultaneously for accountability. For further explanation, see Yen 30 of Surah Al-Araf, E.Ns 10, 11 of Surah Yunus, Yen 105 of Surah Hud, Yen 35 of Surah An-Nahl, Yen 9 of Surah Al-Hajj, Yen 27 of Surah An-Naml, E.Ns 5, 6 of Surah Ar-Rum, E.Ns 29, 30 of Surah Su'ad, Yen 80 of Surah Al-Mu'min, E.Ns 27 to 29 of Surah Al-Jathiyah.
يعلم ما في السماوات والأرض ويعلم ما تسرون وما تعلنون والله عليم بذات الصدور.
8. Another translation can be, whatever you do secretly and whatever openly. 9. That is, he is aware not only of those acts of man, which come to the notice of the people, but he knows also those acts which remain hidden from them. Moreover, he does not only see the superficial form of the acts, but also knows what intention and purpose underlay each act of man, and with what motive and aim he did whatever he did. This is such a truth that if man ponders over it seriously, he can fully understand that justice can be done only in the hereafter, and only in God's court can real justice be possibly done. Man's own intellect itself demands that man must be punished for each of his crimes. But everyone knows that in the world most of the crimes remain hidden, or the culprit escapes punishment because of insufficient evidence, or even if the crime becomes revealed, the culprit is so influential and powerful that he cannot be punished. Then the intellect of man also requires that man should not be punished only because his behavior resembles a criminal act, but it should be ascertained that he has committed the act intentionally and deliberately, and at the time he committed it, he was acting as a responsible agent. His intention, in fact, was to commit the crime, and he knew that what he was doing was a crime. That is why the worldly courts inquire into these things when they decide the cases, and regard such an inquiry as a demand of the rule of justice. But are there any means available in the world by which these things may be precisely ascertained beyond every shadow of doubt? Considered from this viewpoint, this verse also bears a deep logical relevance to Allah Almighty's saying, He has created the earth and the heavens with truth. The necessary demand of creating them with truth is that perfect justice should prevail in this universe. Such justice can be established only when every act of a responsible man may not only remain concealed from the eyes of the one administering justice, but the intention with which a person performed an act also should not remain hidden from him. And obviously, there cannot be any being, apart from the Creator of the universe, who can administer such justice. Now, if a person denies Allah and the hereafter, he in fact asserts that we humans live in a universe which is devoid of justice, which is rather a place where justice cannot possibly be done. The person whose intellect, mind and conscience feel satisfied at such an assumption would be a shameless creature if he thought he was being progressive and rationalistic, and those people antiquated and retrogressive who accept a highly rational concept about the universe, which the Quran presents.